I checked my bank account and felt the blood drain from my face. 0. Every cent. Gone. My phone rang, and I already knew who it was. "Emily, don't freak out." His voice was casual, almost amused. "Where's my money?" I whispered. "Relax. I needed it more than you did." My stomach twisted. He did it. He actually did it. He stole everything. I should have been shattered. Instead, I smiled. Because what he didn't know, what he would soon regret, was that I wasn't a woman he could destroy. I was a woman who would destroy him first. "You'll figure something out." His voice was casual, almost dismissive, as if he hadn't just told me he drained our joint account, as if he hadn't just stolen everything I had built. "It's not like you were using it anyway," he added, like it was a favor. My name is Emily, and at 32, I was standing in my half-packed apartment, gripping my phone, listening to my ex-husband explain why he emptied my savings. The money meant for my fresh start, the deposit for my new home, the foundation for my new life. Gone. "How much is left?" My voice was steady, but my hands weren't. "Left?" He actually laughed. "Nothing. I had some debts to clear up. Don't stress about it, Em. You're smart. You'll land on your feet." Like I had a choice. Like I hadn't spent years picking up after his financial messes, fixing what he broke, believing every empty promise. "I see," I said quietly. "That's my girl," he replied, mistaking my calm for acceptance. "Always practical. Listen, I've got to run. Meeting some friends for drinks. We'll talk soon." Meeting friends for drinks. With my money. My future. I stared at the moving boxes around me. My new life, the one I had carefully planned, was unraveling because of him. Then my phone buzzed again. A text from him. "Don't make a scene about this. No need to tell your family or friends. You always overreact, and it's not a good look on you." Not a good look on me? I had seen this pattern before. The gaslighting, the deflection, the way he spun his betrayals into my overreactions. It wasn't the first time he had taken from me. It was just the first time he had left me with nothing. I looked at the empty apartment. The only thing I had left was my name on the lease for a home I could no longer afford. And in that moment, I made a decision. He thought I would break. He thought I would cry, scream, beg. He had no idea that I was already planning my revenge. I didn't cry. I didn't text him back. I didn't even sit down. Instead, I grabbed my laptop and started making a list. Step 1, gather proof. I logged into my bank account, scrolling through the transactions. He hadn't taken the money in one go. He was too careful for that. Instead, he had made a series of small withdrawals, just under the daily limit, over the past 2 months. I should have noticed. But I had been too busy rebuilding my life after the divorce, too busy trusting that he would leave me alone. I checked our old credit card statements. Sure enough, the timeline matched up. Fancy dinners, weekends at hotels, expensive bar tabs. He had been celebrating with my money before I even knew it was gone. Step 2, secure what's left. I transferred the remaining balance from my personal account to a new bank, one he didn't know about. I changed my passwords, locked my credit, and made sure he wouldn't be able to pull this stunt again. Then I went back to my list. Step 3, find leverage. I knew him. I knew his weaknesses. He was reckless. He always left a paper trail. He was a liar, but he wasn't as smart as he thought he was. He was hiding something. He always was. I scrolled through my old emails, messages, anything that might show me what his next move would be. And then, I found it. An email from a month ago, buried under unread notifications. A bank notice. A loan application in both of our names. He had tried to borrow money under my name, probably assuming I wouldn't check. He must have abandoned the plan once he realized I would get a notification, but that didn't matter. Now I had proof of intent. A chill ran through me. He hadn't just stolen from me. He had been planning to use me for even more. I closed my laptop, my heartbeat steady, my anger cold and controlled. He thought he had won. But he had no idea what was coming for him. I knew him well enough to know that money wasn't his only weakness. His ego was just as fragile. He needed to be admired, respected, in control. He lived off the illusion that he was the one who always came out on top. That illusion was about to shatter. I started with a single phone call, to my bank. I played it cool, polite but firm, as I asked for details on the withdrawals. I didn't need them to undo what had already happened. I just needed something official, a paper trail. The representative hesitated. Since your ex-husband was once listed as a co-owner of the account, these transactions were technically legal. Technically, but I wasn't asking for a reversal. I was asking for records. Within minutes, I had official transaction logs proving exactly what he had done. Next, I called the loan company. The woman on the phone confirmed what I already suspected. He had used my name without permission. Even though I hadn't signed, the mere fact that he had applied under both our names without my consent was enough to raise flags. That's considered fraud, she said carefully. If you'd like to report it, we can open an investigation. I wasn't ready for that. Not yet. Instead, I thanked her, asked for a copy of the paperwork, and hung up. I wasn't going to move on him yet. Not until I was ready. I needed to hit him where it hurt the most, his reputation. And I knew exactly where to start. My ex-husband built his world on appearances. He loved to pretend he was someone important, an entrepreneur, a businessman, a self-made success. In reality, he was none of those things. He was a man who lived off lies, borrowed money, and stolen trust. I wasn't going to expose him all at once. That would be too easy. I wanted him to feel the ground shift beneath him, to watch his carefully constructed image fall apart, one piece at a time. I started small, a message to a mutual acquaintance, someone I knew would pass the information along. Hey, have you spoken to him recently? Just wondering if he mentioned paying back the money he took from me. I'm getting my finances sorted and just wanted to check. I didn't accuse him outright. I didn't show anger. I played it off as casual. Within an hour, I got a response. Wait, what? He took money from you? And just like that, the first crack in his perfect image appeared. The thing about people like him, they only thrive as long as no one questions them. I sent another message, to someone else in his circle. Same calm, casual tone. I was surprised to see those withdrawals from my account, but I'm sure he'll handle it soon. Just figured I'd check in. Every carefully chosen word was meant to stir curiosity, to plant a seed of doubt, and it worked. That night, he called me. I let it ring. He called again. I let it ring again. Then came the text. What the hell are you doing? I smiled at the screen. He was starting to panic. Good. I didn't respond to his text. I wanted him to sit with his own paranoia, to feel the control slipping through his fingers. But I wasn't done yet. The next morning, I made a call, to his boss. I didn't accuse him of anything. I didn't need to. I just asked a simple question, one I knew would send him into damage control. Hi, I just wanted to verify something. My ex-husband listed my name on a loan application recently, and I wanted to make sure he wasn't using company resources as collateral. It's probably nothing, but I figured I should check. His boss went quiet for a long moment. Too long. He listed your name? Yes, but I'm sure it's a misunderstanding, I said smoothly. I wanted to sound reasonable, logical, the exact opposite of what my ex was about to become. The silence stretched before the man cleared his throat. I'll have to look into that. I already knew what that meant. My ex had been playing the same game at work, lying, bending the truth, making promises he couldn't keep. And now, his boss was questioning him. That same afternoon, my phone buzzed again. This time, a voicemail. Emily, what the hell are you doing? You're making me look bad. We can talk about this. Just stop. Stop causing problems. Stop causing problems. I almost laughed. I wasn't causing problems. I was exposing them. And I was just getting started. I still didn't respond. Let him sweat. Let him scramble. Instead, I focused on the next move. My ex was the kind of man who thrived on control. Control over money, control over people, control over the story. So I decided to take that away from him, piece by piece. I went back through my records, old texts, emails, bank statements, every little thing he had ever done to manipulate or take advantage of me. He had a pattern, and I knew from experience that I wasn't the only one he had burned. It was time to find them. I reached out to an old acquaintance, his former business partner, the one he had screwed over years ago, someone he had conveniently labeled crazy when their partnership ended badly. Hey, I know we haven't talked in a while, but I just found out ex-husband's name used my name in a financial scam. Just wondering if you ever dealt with something similar? The response was almost immediate. Oh, you have no idea. Bingo. We talked, compared notes. Turns out my ex had a long history of financial manipulation, and I wasn't the first person he had stolen from. I was just the first person who had the ability to fight back. And now, I wasn't fighting alone. The next morning, my ex tried calling again. This time, I picked up. Emily, you need to stop. You don't understand what you're doing. I smiled, even though he couldn't see it. Oh, I understand perfectly. And so do a lot of other people now. The silence on the other end of the line was pure, beautiful fear. His breathing was uneven. I could hear it through the phone, the way his mind was racing, trying to find a way out. Emily, we can fix this. Let's just talk. No need to make a mess of things. A mess. That's what he called it. Not theft, not fraud, not a betrayal, just a mess. I almost laughed. I don't need to fix anything, I said, my voice steady. You do. I hung up before he could respond. I didn't need to hear his excuses. I already knew his playbook. Deny, deflect, guilt trip. It had worked before. It wouldn't work now. Because now, he wasn't just losing me. He was losing everything. Over the next few days, I watched the fallout unfold. His boss called a private meeting to discuss the loan situation. Mutual friends started pulling away, whispering behind his back. The former business partner? He was considering legal action. And then came the best part. The moment he realized he wasn't in control anymore. I got a text. Just one line. What do you want? Not anger, not denial, just defeat. Now, he was the one with no options. I let his text sit unanswered. He needed to feel the silence, to sit with the fear that was surely creeping into his mind, tightening around him like a noose. Because I wasn't going to give him an easy way out. I wanted him to watch his world shrink the way he had tried to shrink mine. The first real blow came 2 days later. His job. A mutual friend, one of the few who hadn't chosen a side yet, reached out. I don't know what's going on, but ex-husband's name is in deep shit at work. Heard he's under review. I smiled at my screen. Of course he was. That phone call I made to his boss wasn't just a warning, it was a spark. And now his lies, his reckless handling of money, his fake confidence, it was all unraveling. I checked his social media, something I hadn't done in a while. The carefully curated version of his life, the one where he was successful, admired, untouchable, was starting to crack. His usual posts about grinding and business opportunities had stopped completely. No more pictures of expensive dinners, no more long-winded posts about success. Instead, he had posted something vague, something desperate. Sometimes people just want to see you fail, but real ones stay solid. Keep your circle tight. It was laughable. He still thought he was the victim. And then, just when I thought he couldn't sink lower, I got a call from my bank. Ms. Parker, I just wanted to confirm, you're disputing the unauthorized withdrawals, correct? I froze. I hadn't disputed anything yet. I'm sorry, what do you mean? I asked. We received a request under your name. Someone tried to file a dispute on your behalf to reverse the charges. My stomach tightened. He was trying to clean up the mess himself. This was a classic move. He knew I had him cornered, so he tried to rewrite the narrative, make it seem like there was just a misunderstanding so he could shut it down before it got worse. But he had made a mistake. A big one. Can you send me the details of that request? I asked, keeping my voice calm. Minutes later, an email came through. I stared at the document attached. He had forged my signature. It wasn't even a good attempt, just enough to be recognizable, but sloppy. He must have been in a hurry, desperate to cover his tracks. That was it. That was the moment I knew I was done playing. I wasn't just going to expose him anymore. I was going to destroy him. I stared at the forged signature for a long moment, my anger simmering beneath the surface. He wasn't just a liar. He was reckless. He actually thought he could forge my name, alter the facts, and walk away without consequences. I exhaled slowly, then picked up the phone. I'd like to report fraud. The bank representative asked a few routine questions before I sent over the document. It didn't take them long to confirm that the request was fraudulent. This is serious, the woman on the line said. If you'd like to escalate this legally, we can report it to the authorities. I could have said yes right then and there. I could have let the bank take over, let the law work its way through the mess he created. But that would have been too easy. No, I wanted him to feel this. I'll handle it for now, I said. But keep a record of everything. I'll be in touch soon. I had the proof. I had the power. Now it was time to use it. That evening, I sent him a text. The first time I had responded since everything began. I know what you did. Less than a minute later, my phone rang. I let it ring. Once, twice, 3 times. Then I answered. Emily. Listen. No, you listen. My voice was calm, controlled, lethal. I have proof that you forged my signature to commit fraud. I have proof that you stole from me. I have proof that you've been lying to everyone, including your job, and I have every intention of using it. Silence. A long, shaky breath on the other end. You? He started, but his voice cracked. Emily, come on. You don't want to do this. This will ruin me. You should have thought about that before you drained my account. I'll pay you back, he blurted. Desperate. Just don't make this worse. I almost laughed. He still thought he had the ability to negotiate. You don't get to decide how bad this gets, I said. I do. I hung up. By morning, I had filed an official fraud complaint with the bank and sent a copy of his forged request to his employer. I didn't have to wait long for the fallout. By noon, I got a message from the mutual friend who had been keeping tabs. I don't know what you did, but he just got fired. By 3 p.m., another message. He's trying to do damage control, but no one's buying it. He's completely screwed. By 5 p.m., my ex himself texted me. Emily, please. I'll do anything. Just stop this. I ignored it. This wasn't something I had done to him. This was something he had done to himself, and he was finally paying for it. The final text from him sat unanswered on my phone, a pathetic attempt at damage control. Emily, please. I'll do anything. Just stop this. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. The damage was already done. By the end of the week, his carefully built image, his job, his reputation, his false sense of control had crumbled completely. I received a final update from our mutual friend. He's completely unraveling. No job, no money, no credibility. People are finally seeing him for who he is. Good. But I wasn't finished yet. I walked into my bank branch in person. handing them every piece of evidence, the fraudulent documents, the forged signature, the proof that he had stolen from me, and then tried to erase the evidence. "We're taking this seriously," the representative told me. "A case like this could lead to criminal charges." I nodded. I wasn't backing down. "Do it." By filing the complaint, I had sealed his fate. His actions weren't just unethical, they were illegal. And now, he was under official investigation. That night, he showed up at my apartment. I heard the knock, slow and uncertain. For a brief moment, I considered ignoring it, but I wanted to see his face. I opened the door. He looked nothing like the smug, confident man who had once believed he could control me. His face was pale, his eyes hollow with panic. He looked small. "Emily, please." "No." That single word stopped him cold. "No explanations, no apologies, no more games. You did this to yourself." He blinked rapidly, shaking his head. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly." My voice was calm, steady. "You stole from me. You lied. You forged my signature. And now, you're facing the consequences." He took a shaky breath, his hands gripping the doorframe like it was the only thing keeping him upright. "This is ruining me." I tilted my head slightly, considering his words. "Good." I shut the door in his face. The last thing I ever heard about him was through a mutual acquaintance. The fraud investigation moved forward. His attempt to erase the stolen money had backfired. Now he was facing real consequences. He couldn't find another job. Word had spread, and no employer wanted to take a chance on a man caught falsifying financial records. His support system vanished. The people who once admired him had seen the truth. There was nothing left to respect. As for me, I rebuilt. I recovered every cent he took. Through legal action, through frozen accounts, through forcing him to pay me back one way or another. And more importantly, I was free. Free from the manipulation, the lies, the weight of carrying someone who had only ever dragged me down. One day, I got a final message from him. "Are you ever going to let this go?" I didn't reply. Instead, I blocked his number, closed my laptop, and walked away. Because for the first time in years, I didn't have to think about him ever again. And that was the greatest revenge of all.